musicians in the Baroque period was in some ways very similar and some ways very different than it is for musicians in the 21st century. I will say that in England specifically, to be a musician was a much different experience for men than it was for women. Being an actor was considered to be a good working class job. Being an actress was considered to be incredibly low class. Charlotte Butler was a very famous singer-actress, and there are many of these accounts of Charlotte Butler being an incredible performer and singing well. There are also, however, several satires discussing her from the perspective of her purported sexual immorality. This is still a really prominent trend today. In 2019, Emanuel Bruch reviewed an opera and said that it was all just a bunch of fat, ugly women in corsets spreading their legs. I think one of the goals of my research is to look at things that are problems in contemporary society and to look at where they originated, to try to get the trend to stop because it's been perpetuated for the past several centuries. And I think it's time to stop talking about women that way, or anyone.
While they weren't celebrated, there were a lot of women behind the scenes. It was more common for women to play the viola da gamba than it was for men. Interesting, but they were never professional musicians, of course. Composers such as Vivaldi. His orchestra were all of the women at his convent.
Growing up in the 90s, we were really told that all doors are open to us. Feminism won. My experience was getting out in the real world and realizing, oh, it's a little more complicated than that. One thing that's really interesting is that it is much easier for people to accept decision-making coming from a woman when it pertains to the enforcement of rules or logistics or things that are a little bit more technical. People tend to have a tougher time with authority coming from a woman when it relates to creative decisions, when the impetus behind it is really because that's what I would like to do. When I transitioned from working as a stage manager to a director, I actually got more pushback from people about decision making coming from me that was just because something was how I wanted it.
When I started in theater, I was often the only woman in the room. My graduate school professor said, "Anne, you walk into every room with your sword up." I kind of almost was proud of that. I don't think he meant it as a compliment, but I felt like, yeah, I guess I do. I always feel like I have to fight to prove myself in a world where still men get paid more than women do for the same work. I feel like we're all still having to prove ourselves in ways that men don't have to prove themselves. I was a little kid and I was crying and my mom asked me what was wrong and I said, I want to be an artist, but I can't because I'm a girl. Because I had never heard of a woman artist. I really do think it's changing. I feel very respected among my teams of people that I work with. But I guess there was a time when I felt like it wasn't, and I had to come into every room with my sword up.
Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Emily.
We're the founders of Parea series. We make performances that combine music and discussion.
You just watched excerpts from the discussion portion of one of our shows, Arthur and Emmeline.
Keep watching to learn more about the performance.
When you watch Arthur and Emmeline, a Purcellian fantasy, you will experience a combination of elements that have never been seen together before. Early music, green screen technology, and college romance. Who doesn't want that, I ask you?
The music in this production is excerpts from Purcell's semi-opera, King Arthur. These pieces that people were writing were all serving a specific function, and it was perfectly fine to completely change something or to take another composer's work and to make it work for your own purposes. That's very historically accurate.
What I try to do in my work is find the little nut of the story that we're trying to tell and build an emotional world around it.
Arthur and Emmeline comes out on February 21st. This modern twist on a classic love story makes the perfect gift for anyone you love, or even like.
For only $20, you'll get music, magic, love,
And period instruments. Check out our website, pareaseries.com, for info on how to order.
Plus, it's available for the special low price of free for those of you who already support us on Patreon.
Thank you.
Or if you subscribe now.
So keep the Valentine's Day spirit going and join us for fun, fantasy, and romance with Arthur and Emmeline.